Everybody, welcome back to the live start sit presented by the Fantasy Holics, the Fatboyz, coming at you for week 6, all your roster needs. Brant, how you feeling on this fine Sunday morning?
Oh, it's a beautiful, beautiful day outside here where we're at. It's a great day for football. We started off real early this morning with it's just a barn burner of a defensive game here, which I mean, we both expected that to be there in London. It wasn't going to be much of a high scoring, high volume game. Justin Fields with his 1 yard passing. It's not looking good for the Jets offense. They were talking about how proficient he's actually been with no turnovers or no interceptions going into this game in his 3 games he's played. And then, I mean, you don't throw interceptions when you can't throw the ball. When you don't throw the ball or it goes completely out of bounds. I mean, even your receivers can't catch it, and that's what it's looking like right now.
Yeah, you talk about one side of that ball that's got kind of a decent offense in the Broncos. Bo Nix had a real good year last year, and then you look at the Jets, and it's just it's the Jets. I don't know if there's much else to be said about that other than the fact that it is the Jets. I mean, I think I saw the meme at the beginning of the week that kind of sums it up, and it was like the NFL sending these 2 overseas, making sure the rest of the world hates the Jets and as much as the Americans do. So, it's definitely an interesting thing going on. There's not a whole lot to talk about really to this point. I mean, I guess if you were to bring anything up, it'd be, Bo Nix 112 yards passing, Evan Ingram 4 receptions for 30 yards. I guess that's kind of the extent of where we're at this point, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Ingram's looking like what we thought he would be, being the go-to target over for first downs and everything else. And then you got what was it? Fullback with 2 catches in his career, and then he has 2 catches already in this game for the tight end. I think I refer to the touchdown. I think that was Atkins was his name.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot going on fantasy wise here. Both running backs are struggling. I think one has 9 yards and one has 7 maybe on 4 carries. There's just not a whole lot going offensively here.
Yep. But we move on and we progress. There's better football on the horizon today. We don't have to it's not like this is the only game we get to watch, thankfully. Right. All right, Brent, let's get into some of these questions, and we'll check back in on this game here in a little while. So first question of the day comes in from Kevin. He says, good morning, boys. Good morning, Kevin. Half-point PPR, start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex between Pickens, Jamar Chase, Debo, and JCM Bill.
Well, you and me both like to go with any running back playing the Chicago Bears. I know it's been a little bit better this year. So I'm actually going to go with Bill. I'm going to go with Chase, and I'm going with Debo. I'm benching Pickens this week. Horn has been that cornerback who's been very good for Carolina this year. He's actually slowed the number ones down, and that is it. So I'm actually going to go with Chase with the quarterback upgrade in my mind. Then you get Debo as he's going to be the number 1 with no Terry, and I'm going to go with Bill as well.
Yeah, I'm sitting Bill. I'm not touching Bill. Don't like Bill this week. I love Debo without any other options healthy. Jamar Chase is still I don't think you can sit him even when it's bad quarterback play. Let's see what Joe Flacco looks like. Hopefully, it's an uptick over Jake Browning, and George Pickens is looked like that guy without CD. And yes, JC Horn has been okay, but the Carolina defense is still a sieve. Every team passes pretty well against Carolina, so I'm going to confidently start all 3 pass catchers.
Kevin follows it up with Tucker Kraft or Darren Waller.
Can't really say that I really thought had Darren Waller as an option on my bingo card, Brandon.
I think I got to go with Kraft here. They just may not. I'm going to go with Kraft because I think it's going to be a lot closer than that 14.5 point spread that Vegas has out. I think Cincy will get going. I think the offense will take an uptick with Joe Flacco. So I'm going to take Kraft and say this game's going to be a little closer than what everyone's thinking.
Yeah, I think I honestly agree with you as far as that game line goes between Cincinnati and the Packers. I think it's going to be a little closer than what most folks are willing to see at this point. The Darren Waller thing, though, Brant, I mean, at what point do we say we have to start trusting it? Because
well, we give everybody 3 weeks when we start the season. So I guess this is week 3. I guess this is my last week, and then I might have to start trusting it.
Week tight end 4 and tight end 6 back-to-back weeks. He's got 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks. I mean, no Tyreek Hill, obviously. Man, it's just the targets aren't even there. He's had 9 targets in 2 weeks. It's not like he's getting 10 targets a week, and that's why he's relevant. I'm going to go Tucker Kraft as well. I feel like maybe Darren Waller is relevant, but I just can't. 33 years old, a year removed from football. I just don't know if I'm ready to fully believe in that yet, Kevin. So I'm going to go Tucker Kraft. All right, Tony comes in and says, good morning, guys. Another awesome day of football. First of all, good morning, Tony. He says he needs 2 wide receivers in his flex spot out of these players in a PPR league. He's got Ladd McConkey. I'm assuming Jalen McMillan. Well, I guess that could be Tet too, yeah.
Jalen's on the IR.
Good point, yep. Steph Diggs, Zay Flowers, Cooper Kupp, Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson, or Michael Carter. So you've got a lot of options there. Right off the rip, I'm going to start out by saying I'm absolutely playing Ladd McConkey without Quentin Johnston available for the Chargers. So that's 100% a thing I'm doing there. I think at this point I'm going Diggs as well with what he's looked like the last 2 weeks, finally starting to be the number 1 guy. And I'm not leaving Tet McMillan out of my lineup at this point. So I think I go with your first 3 options for me.
Yeah. Did they officially rule out Quentin Johnston? I did see.
I don't know if it's official yet, but I mean, with a hamstring, it sounds.
Yeah. I know.
Actually, breaking news: Bam Knight will start over Michael Carter this week.
Wow.
So,
okay.
So there you go.
I don't like that. I'm pretty sure we're forced to start Carter in one league. Yeah, I'm going to go with if Johnston's out, I'm going to go with McConkey, McMillan, and Diggs as well. If I don't like the fact of how much we left the middle of the field open, I think I'll stick with those 3 either. I think Seattle tries to cover the middle a little bit better this week and maybe doesn't leave it wide open and let somebody go completely ballistic. Because I think ETN could have a great game, but yeah, I think I'd go with those first 3 there as well.
If Quentin Johnston does play, does that change things for you on Ladd? And if so, who do you pivot to?
That's where I'm looking at. I was like, I could pivot to ETN, but Seattle's so good, been so decent against the run, it would have to come off catches. I could make the argument to pivot to Flowers, but not without Lamar. So no, I don't think I do. I could possibly see that pivot to Flowers, but no, I don't think I do. I think I take the Cyphers.
I stay with the same 3 regardless. I think Ladd's coming off his best game of the season. I think that's something that probably continues this week, whether QJ plays or not. And even if QJ does play, it's how involved is he going to be with a hamstring? So I think I start Ladd regardless.
Chris says, good morning, guys. Good morning, Chris. Need some advice on tight end and flex. Tucker Kraft, Darren Waller, Chase Brown, ETN. Thanks, guys. Breeze Hall is killing me this morning in fantasy. I do feel that, but I'm on the other side of it as I started Dobbins thinking, I'll have a little 8:30 game. He should have, a couple catches maybe. That one's killing me on the other side as well. So I do understand your frustration there. I think we go with Kraft on the tight end there. And, man, that's tough. That's 2 good defenses. I think I go with Chase Brown. And the reason I do is I think Flacco probably looks for some easy dump offs to get some rhythm with that team and starts to get it rolling. So I think I'm gonna actually lean Chase Brown on this one. He's been so bad, but I think maybe that's how Flacco gets rhythm with this team and keeps this game close. Is a few dump offs to Chase Brown, let the run game try to get its work. I think I actually do go with Chase Brown over there. Honestly, honestly, I'd almost put Waller in my flex over those two tight ends, or over the two running backs. But I do think I lean Chase Brown a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Tucker Kraft pick for tight end, as we did a couple questions ago. As far as that running back or flex question, I guess it's ETN for me. Chase Brown is running back 32 on the season. I am cautiously optimistic that Joe Flacco does give him an uptick, but I'm not willing to risk a fantasy week on that. I think I'd like to see it if I have any other options. And ETN being running back 12 on the season is a good pivot play for me. Seattle has been somewhat tough against the run. But again, the volume is there for ETN right now. You're talking around 15 targets a game or 15 touches a game for him. And that's his touches at this point are coming behind a much better offensive line than Chase Brown's. That Bengals offensive line is anemic. So if I'm going with one of those, I don't know as though I could get Darren Waller in there, but I would be more appealed by Darren Waller, I think, than Chase Brown this week, just because Chase Brown's been so bad. It's been so bad. Yeah, I can't advocate for him right now. I really can't.
Okay. Rob comes at us. PPR need one. Metcalf, BTJ, or Monty. You go ahead with this one real fast. I'm looking something up real fast for this question
here. Man, it feels like these first two are very similar. If you take away DK's massive week last week, he's kind of just been an average wide receiver. 2 weeks ago. They were on bye last week. I don't think I'm really even considering Monty this week against the Chiefs. I think I'm kind of out on that. I think I'm going to go with Brian Thomas Jr. just due to the fact that Vegas has that as the highest scoring outside of Sunday night, but I don't think Monty's that involved. This feels like a Gibbs week. So I'm going to go Brian Thomas Jr. just because it's almost a 10 more points being scored by Vegas, in that Seahawks-Jags game versus the Steelers-Browns. That Steelers-Browns game feels very much like a NFC or AFC North ground and pound, gritty defense, field goal galore. So for me, I'm going to go BTJ.
Okay. I as well. I'm going BTJ. Seattle's still missing Witherspoon. Wolin's out. We get Nick back, and we'll see how long he plays. He's kind of been wishy-washy with his injuries this year. Kind of, reminiscing of an old name there in Seattle, not to be named, as shows up on the field and then misses the rest of the game. But yeah, we left that middle so wide open last week, and everyone's still missing this week. So I think I'm actually going to lean BTJ as well.
Okay. All right. Jeff says need two of these: Chase Brown, DeAndre Swift, Kendrick Bourne.
I'm going Kendrick Bourne with Mac Jones starting again. That the chemistry showed last week, and they got Tampa Bay, so they're gonna have to fire that ball away to keep up. So I'm gonna go with Kendrick Bourne is definitely my one, and I think I go with DeAndre Swift here. Who do Bears play? They play Washington. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Swift here.
Has Swift not been worse than Chase Brown?
It's been bad. Both of them have not been pretty.
I think I am agreeing with you on the Kendrick Bourne. That's the number one for me on this one. DeAndre Swift's 31, Chase Brown's 32. God, when you talk about ineffective backs, Swift and Chase Brown are like the number two guys that come to mind here. I'm gonna go Chase Brown and half-point PPR just because he gets a little bit more targets out of the backfield. I'm gonna go Chase just because of the targets. That's it.
Okay. All right. Rob comes at us. PPR, Pitts or Ertz? You guys have been getting Pitts more involved, have you not?
Mm-hmm.
But Daniels is back, and Daniels likes Ertz. It's without Terry. 49.5 point game. You guys are as well the same. This one's tough. I'm looking.
Does Daniels know he likes Zach Ertz? Because last week he had 1 target for 0 receptions, with 53% snaps too. By the way, for Ertz. It's Kyle Pitts for me. I mean, it's Kyle Pitts. I think that Bills defense is pretty stout against tight end, but I can't imagine the Falcons not having to pass a decent amount in this game.
I'm gonna go with Pitts as well. The Commanders are giving up 8 fantasy points to tight ends compared to the Bills are only giving up 3 on the year as average. So I'm gonna go with Pitts here, and I'm not gonna expect a huge week. They both are pretty good against the tight end. So I'll go with Pitts though.
What do the Bears give up against the tight end?
Did I not just say the Bears?
You said Commanders. I didn't know if you looked up the Commanders or if you actually looked up the Bears.
I looked up the Commanders, and I have no idea why.
Well, because that's what Team Zach Ertz plays for.
Yeah. Okay, well, the Bears are giving up 6, so
a little closer.
Yeah, a little closer, but yeah, I still lean Pitts here.
Yep, me as well. All right, Tony says New England defense or the LA Chargers defense. I go Patriots defense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Against the Saints, yeah, I'm going with Patriots defense. Ice Cold Jones. Should I start Tua, Mac Jones, Rodgers, or Young? Both my QBs are out. I go Mac Jones. I think San Francisco showed that they can get the ball rolling there with that. So I actually go with Mac Jones here. Yeah, I think I go Mac Jones.
Michael McCorkle Jones. Tell me why I want to go Bryce Young against the Dallas Cowboys, Brant. Tell me why I want to do that.
Because Dallas is booty cheeks against quarterbacks, but
absolutely they are.
So
I'm going Bryce Young. I'm doing it. Give me Bryce Young. Listen, if Mac Jones had a full, healthy core of wide receivers, I'm talking Ricky Pearsall, all those people. George Kittle, Juwan Jennings, all those. I'm 100% probably in agreement with you. If Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing in a gritty AFC North battle, I'd probably be there too. Tua scares the crap out of me just because even when he has his healthy guys, he's not great. I'm going Bryce Young, Brant. I'm doing it.
Okay.
Mark says Seattle defense at the Jaguars or the Chargers defense at Miami. I'm not going with Seattle.
Yeah, I'm going with the Chargers.
You guys secondary being that banged up is definitely something that scares me away from playing that defense. If your secondary was healthy and at strength, I think that's a fun little play, but I'm not doing it without your secondary.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. We looked absolutely terrible last week, leaving everything wide open. Guy has 180 yards already. Let's go ahead and leave him wide open some more. Yeah, no, I cannot go with that Seattle secondary right now.
Okay.
Bobby asks, Worthy, Bourne, or Golden? I think I go with Bourne. I just think that the target, the Worthy is very intriguing with a game like that. I still think I go Kendrick Bourne. Like I said, the chemistry started to show up. Mac Jones was feeling comfortable with them. So I think I'm gonna lean on Bourne still.
I was ready to go Bourne too after the 11 targets and 10 receptions, but I went and looked, and Worthy's had 8 and 9 reception targets in the last 2 games. He's clearly the guy right now without Rashee Rice. So I think I actually do go Worthy in a game where I think you're going to see some points scored. I mean, it's the highest total of the week. It's 52.5 by Vegas. I think the Chiefs are probably, in my opinion, it's been one of those years. The Chiefs are going to be the team that are playing from behind probably. So I think I go Xavier Worthy. I wasn't ready to see 8 and 9 targets in the last 2 weeks for him, but it's there, Brant.
Okay. All
right. Robert says Jalen Waddle or Marvin Harrison Jr.
Jalen Waddle or Marvin Harrison? Arizona's got. I'm going with Jalen Waddle. The Indianapolis defense has been pretty stout this year. So I'm actually going to go with Marvin Harris, or I'm going to go with Waddle because I think that game's going to turn into a little more high scoring, a little more. I understand, Vegas has it as 46, but I don't know if Arizona is going to get too many points in that game. So I'm actually going with Waddle here.
The Dolphins or the Chargers are 7th against the wide receiver. The Colts are 27th against the wide receiver in fantasy. So I'm going Marvin Harrison this week.
I was not expecting to see that. They must just be getting turnovers, and that's why it looks so good.
Well, I think the Colts offense is so good that teams are having to pass a decent amount. But again, honestly, tell me why I like the pass catchers more without Kyler Murray under center this week, Brant. It's Jacoby Brissett. I know that's not necessarily a sex, but I genuinely like the pass catchers in Arizona more without Kyler Murray under center. I really do. I'm going Marvin Harrison in this one.
Okay. All right. I don't hate it. Tony says this question is for next week. With Lamar out week 7 and your guys' show starts at 10 a.m., I need a QB spot. Stafford's playing international game or Sam Darnold on Monday. So we have Houston next week. I do know that one. Stafford has, I'm assuming, the Jags, I think it is, next week.
I will just look that up right now, Brant.
While you're doing that, I'm going to peek at something here because I think, man, maybe if I can get.
The Rams have the Jags.
Okay.
Rams are favored right now. It's early. Rams are favored by 3.5 in a 47.5 point game. Whereas you guys are favored by 2.5 in a 42.5 point game. For me, I go Stafford.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Stafford as well. There, I'm going Stafford.
The only way that changes for me, Tony, is if something happens to Puka this week. If Puka doesn't play, obviously Stafford's a non-start. But if Puka's available and playing and there next week, I comfortably start Matt Stafford. Yep. All right, Jennifer says, go ahead.
Just said Jets are in a 2-minute drill where they can't throw the ball.
Jennifer says Chase Brown or Waller, no tight end premium, and then Darnold or Caleb in quarterback positions here. So what do we think about the first question?
I think I go Chase Brown here, still just by a hair. Something tells me that, like I said, that he's going to try to get in rhythm with that team, and I think Chase Brown's going to be the beneficiary of that. So I'm going to lean Chase Brown just a little bit there.
Chase Brown. Yeah, I think by the slightest of margins. I mean, that's just so disgusting. You're talking about a guy who came off as a running back 4 last season or 5 versus a guy who didn't play last year. So very disgusting question. But, yeah, I think I do go Brown by the slightest of margins as well.
Okay. And as for quarterback, I'm going to lean Darnold here. I think we showed that we can air the ball out, and I like that. So I think I'm going to lean Darnold there.
Let me look. I feel like I want to go Caleb, but I don't want to be wrong. I think Darnold's coming off of his best game of the season. Yeah, he's coming off a quarterback 2, 10, 18, 2 the last 3 weeks for Darnold. Whereas Caleb, 124 and then a bye week. Yeah, I'll go Darnold as well. I don't necessarily love Darnold, but I'll go Darnold as well.
All right. Jennifer then comes at us with Darnold or Lawrence. I'm
going Lawrence just because your secondary is so banged up.
Yeah, I as well. I'm going to go Lawrence. Like I said, we're pretty stout against the run. We get everyone looking like everyone's going to be back up front, so we should get back into slowing down the run, which means Lawrence is going to have to air the ball out to move it. So yeah, I think I'm in agreement with that.
Okay. Nope, skipped one here. My bad. Andres says, good morning, guys. Good morning, Andres. Need one flex in PPR, Calvin Ridley or Josh Downs?
What was Downs' target share last week? I felt like he actually was pretty decent last week.
It was his best game of the year, I believe.
Yeah, 8 targets. I think I'm gonna go Downs here. I think I'll go Downs over Ridley here. I don't much I trust.
I'm going Calvin Ridley, Brant. I don't mean to keep picking against you, but they're playing the Raiders this week. Coming off their first win as a team last week and that comeback win against the Arizona Cardinals. Calvin Ridley was the focal point of that pass catch.
Yeah.
It was 10 targets last week. It feels like if you could do that last week, it's going to be repeated this week in a game that I think I would not be shocked if the Titans pulled this one out, Brant.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually lean. I'm gonna switch mine up after looking it up while you were talking. I think I'm gonna go Ridley here too. 10 targets definitely makes it worth it. So yeah, I think I go with Ridley as well.
All righty.
Oh boy, was it Flournoy? Is that how you say it? I don't know how to say his last name here. Or Juwan Jennings.
Is Ryan Flournoy a one week hit? That's the one question you got to ask yourself here.
Yeah, but then you got to think how healthy is Juwan Jennings, and is he going to have any chemistry with Mac Jones? If it was Brock Purdy, I think I'd lean Jennings here, but
I don't know if I can do it, Brian.
I think I go with Jennings. I think I just go with the safer play. I think I have to go with Jennings.
Juwan's been bad. Ankle and rib, he's expected to play. Ankle injury is going to hurt his, route running, I would think. I just can't advocate for a one-hit wonder like Ryan Flournoy. Last week was the first time his snap share has been over 50% all season. Man, I can't do it. I got to go Juwan Jennings.
Yeah, I am as well.
All right, Dan comes at us with Bam Knight or Kimani Vidal. My team is in shambles. Again, I think, Dan, I can speak for myself and Brent when I say this. Who the hell would have thought coming into week 6 we'd be sitting here questioning the start between these two? I mean, Bam Knight or Kimani Vidal, I don't think that was anything that any one of us ever expected to have to pick between. But that being said, it's kind of come out that Bam Knight's going to be the guy for the Cardinals, whereas it's going to be Hassan Haskins for the Chargers. So I think based on the information that's being given to me, I think I go Bam Knight.
Yeah, based on the information that's coming out, I'm going to go Bam Knight. I think Vidal is the starter next week. I think that will come out. I do think that he is a more explosive back there, but based on the information that's been put out, with Haskins and everything else, I think I have to lean Bam Knight.
Okay, all right.
Michael asked, Pacheco or Hunt in PPR? We got to decide out of backfields. I mean, what has it been? 3 weeks in a row, Mahomes has led the team in rushing. I think I go with Hunt. I think Hunt will have the better pass catching upside. So in the PPR, I think I go with Kareem Hunt. And I think Hunt is actually listed number 1 on the depth chart. I should be wrong. I could be wrong though.
Hunt's not had 50% of the snaps in a single week, whereas Pacheco's only been under 50 once. Hunt's coming off of a 2-touchdown performance on 7 carries, but I will actually tell you, only in 1 game has Hunt seen more than 1 reception, whereas Pacheco's had more than 1 3 times.
Wow.
So I think I actually go Pacheco.
Okay. I'm sticking with Hunt.
Okay, that's gross.
Yeah.
Both sides of that is gross. I mean, Tony says pick 2: Drake May, Jared Goff, or Justin Herbert. According to Adam Schefter, Johnston not expecting to play. Yeah, I don't expect not Shefty, but I don't expect Quentin Johnson to play either. Hamstring for a guy with his ability or what he's good at is not great.
I go Drake May and Goff because of I don't think Johnston's going to play. So yeah, I'm actually going to go with Goff in the highest scoring game of the week, and then Drake May has been coming on so good. So yeah, I think I go with May and Goff here. I know Herbert's been very good this year, but I losing your number one for this year. I think I have to go with May and Goff.
Yeah, I mean, it feels to me like Goff's the number one out of the three, and then honestly, to me, it's a coin flip between Herbert and May. May's playing the Saints, and Herbert's playing the Dolphins. There's no defense against either one of those two.
Right.
However, just to not continue my trend of picking against Brand, I'll go with Drake May, just to have some continuity there.
Okay. Yusef comes at us. Good morning. Good morning. Should it be a no-brainer and start Green Bay's defense over Indy? Honestly, no, because Indy gets Arizona with a backup quarterback. Green Bay's getting Cincy with Flacco coming in. And I mean, we talked about this, making fun of one of our buddies all week. We've watched Flacco beat this defense up already once this year. I think you could go with either one. I think they're both going to be good plays, but I feel like I like Indy a little bit better this week.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas has Green Bay favored by 14.5. I do think Flacco makes the Bengals offense a little better. But how much of that playbook does he know at this point?
Yeah, well, we've seen it before where a guy comes in on 2 days, plays on a Thursday night, and tortures people.
That was a young Baker Mayfield with a very good offensive line in LA. There is no offensive line in Cincinnati with a 40-year-old Flacco.
This is an extreme veteran of the NFL, though, that can get in and get the right plays. So I still think I lean Indy.
I'm going Green Bay. I'm not getting cute with it. I'm going Green Bay. They're coming off of a bye week. They've had time to get healthy. They've had time to rest. I'm going Green Bay. I don't like Flacco week one in Cincinnati. I think long term it projects a lot better in my mind than Jake Browning, but I can't phase Green Bay's defense first week of Joe Flacco in Cincinnati. I can't do it. Nope, there's no offensive line. Their offensive line, brand, is essentially you and I out there. And that's what the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line amounts to.
They better go get our buddy who says he can block Michael Parsons. He better go get our buddy who says he can do that.
Mike Parsons, Jerry Jones
sure.
Jr.
Yeah, it's okay. I mess up names all the time, so I'm allowed to.
You do. It's not on. But
Jerry Jones goes on national TV and messes it up. Right?
You don't mess up the easy ones. Well, sometimes anyway. Zach says Travion Henderson or Kamani Vidal in PPR. Then he comes back with a wide receiver question and a quarterback question. So let's start with that running backs there. Where are you at on that one?
I'm going with Henderson here. Like I said, with the information that's out right now, I have to lean Henderson on this one, especially against the Saints.
And Antonio Gibson's done for the year, so it's just Stevenson in front of him. So I go Henderson pretty confidently there. Then at the wide receiver, it's Romeo Doubs or Kendrick Bourne.
I'm going to stick on the Bourne train. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with the chemistry there, and I'm going to go with Bourne.
Last time we saw Romeo Doubs, he had 3 touchdown catches.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go Bourne as well, just because you can't predict who's going to be the guy in the Green Bay offense each week. So I'll go Bourne as well on that one. And then at quarterback, Dak or May, Brant?
4-point passing touchdowns. Man, I if Carolina keeps it close, I really like Dak because I don't know. I understand New Orleans is only a 3.5-point favorite, but I don't, or 3.5-point dog, but I don't understand how they're going to keep that game close. I think I go with Dak here. I do. I think I go Dak.
Yep, Dak. It's Dak for me as well.
Ryan says PPR need one. Golden or JMO have Nico on a bye and Evan still out. Well, you got a nice receiving core. It just sucks that they're out or on bye this week. I'm going to go with JMO this week. I think he's going to get himself a deep ball. I think he's going to find the end zone in that high-scoring, high-powered game. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go with JMO. As we all talk about this being a high-scoring game, it's probably going to be like 21-12 or something.
Yeah, and again, Brant, I think almost every week you've heard me on this show fade JMO just because it doesn't feel like a script where he's going to be involved much. This feels like a week where JMO is going to be involved. This feels like a week where you're going to have some big plays out of Detroit, and I think he fits that bill very nicely. So I go JMO as well. Kevin says Flacco. Go ahead.
Kevin says Flacco beat the Packers because of Jenkins in the run game since he doesn't have a run game and how bad Chase Brown has been. Yeah, I agree with that. But like I said, I think he's going to – I like Chase Brown this week. I think, like I said, I think Flacco's going to use him in the pass game more and try to get him in the open field. So, yeah, I do. I think they keep it close. I'm not saying by any means I think since he's going to beat Green Bay, but I do think Flacco keeps it a lot closer.
Okay. All right. Yusuf says also, what about Pacheco or Charbonnet?
I'm going to go Pacheco because I don't trust the Seattle backfield. I just don't. I don't know who's what. Who fell? And did we have either one fall in the end zone last week? That would be the biggest, question.
Does it change anything? Because the other one, yeah.
The other one should fall in it this week. That's about the only question it's going to answer. Kenneth did not.
Charbonnet did find the end zone last week.
Yeah, I think I go with Pacheco here.
RB 40 and Charbonnet versus 41 and Pacheco. So yeah, coin flip. Pick your poison. Yusuf. I think matchup wise, I think I'd rather start somebody against the Jaguars than the Lions. Does it feel like, Brent, in your mind, does it feel like a game where the Chiefs are going to run the ball a ton?
No, I don't think either one does. I think it honestly, it doesn't feel like it should be that game script, but I do think that it might be in the game script of trying to slow down Detroit's offense by keeping yours on the field. So if Detroit gets out and gets on fire and is just scoring at will, then no. But I do think that the script should lean a little more towards the run in that game, just because they will have to try to slow down that offense one way or another.
Okay. All right.
Jacob says Henry, Walker, or Montgomery. I'm fading Montgomery. I have to go Henry here. I don't like picking Seattle's backfield. But I mean, Walker could turn a game into 10 carries and 100 and some yards and 2 touchdowns. But I think I have to go Henry on this one.
Mm-hmm. Brand, I don't know. I don't know on this one at all. This one's so gross. I hate it. Henry is averaging like 2/100ths more of a yard per carry than Walker is right now, but it's all because of week 1 where he averaged 9.3 yards per carry. Right. Last week, Kenneth Walker averaged 8.6. So for me, I got to go off of what's been better recently, and it's not Derrick Henry. You're looking at this Ravens team, right? There's no Lamar Jackson. They're banged up. After this week, they go into a bye week. It shocked me at all to see a decent amount of Justice Hill this week and just kind of almost punt this week and say, hey, I mean, they're going to try to win, right? But they start getting down early. I don't know how much Derrick Henry you see. I'll go Kenneth Walker just because, God, Derrick Henry's been so bad. He's been so bad. I can't start Derrick Henry if I have an option like Walker next to him. I'm going Kenneth Walker. I am. I don't feel great about that either, Brant, but goodness gracious, how bad has Henry been?
Yep. I agree.
Speaking of how bad has somebody been, can we talk about how we have a starting quarterback in the National Football League at halftime of an NFL game that has currently thrown for 17 total yards?
The offense in total has 32 total yards going into half. this has not been pretty for the Jets. Their points have come off, like you said, prior to us going live, off the special teams heck of return, and then the one turnover they have gotten this season. This Jets offense looks atrocious, and we've talked about how good the Broncos defense is, but 32 total yards, 17 passing. It's not good. It does not look good at all.
Yeah, and we talked about it, pre-show, but I think this kind of leads us into a good spot to talk about this as a whole. Breece Hall has to be a trade candidate, right? Like I know he's come out and said he doesn't want to leave, but as bad as this team is, he has to be. They have to be considering moving him, do they not?
Yeah, absolutely. That was actually my number one on trade candidates prior to the November deadline. And honestly, I do think that he is going to be on the move. I think there's going to be some playoff teams out in the hunt. You looked at Kansas City, who's got everybody and their mom running through the backfield right now. And so it's, do we try to get a star in our backfield? I mean, and then you got, the Bears who have Swift and could possibly want, an upgrade there. I think Breece Hall is going to be on the move prior to November.
You didn't even mention the best landing spot right now for a running back, which is the Chargers, who are actively making phone calls to see who is and isn't available. You talk about a Jets team potentially moving to 0-6 to start the season. I feel like that's where you're starting to go. Yep, it's bye-bye time.
But didn't the news come out that Hampton isn't going to be out as long? So would they?
It's possible, but the news came out yesterday that they're making phone calls around.
Yeah, I just don't know if they're going to want to make that big of a splash play, but they might, and that would be the best landing spot for Hall.
When you talk about the Chargers not wanting to make that big, Brent, they're in one of the best divisions in football. They can't fall behind. You can't lose. You can't lose steps. I think you can't. We'll see what it looks like this week. Maybe Vidal or Haskins come out and make it to where it's not as big of an issue. But if you have no play out of your running back room for the Chargers and they drop another game this week, potentially, I think they do get very antsy to try to keep pace in that division.
Okay.
All right. Paul says, morning, guys. Should I bench Marvin Harrison Jr. and go with Brian Thomas Jr., not feeling as confident with Brisket makes me a lot more confident at quarterback. With Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, though, I have been feeling Murray throwing the ball either. Both Indy and Seattle's defense are not bad against the pass.
Yeah, I'm benching Marvin Harrison for Brian Thomas because we are so banged up in the secondary there in Seattle. So I think Brian Thomas is definitely due for a good game this week against our banged up, beat up secondary. So yeah, I definitely would pivot to Brian Thomas.
I'm cool with either one of these guys. I honestly, Paul, I said it a little bit earlier on the show here. I think I'm actually slightly more confident in Jacoby Brissett as a passer than I am, Kyler Murray at this point. I think it almost makes me a little more excited about Marvin Harrison Jr. this week. I could see a huge workload for Trey McBride as well with a backup quarterback, which would be normal behavior. But I'll roll with Brand on this one. I'll go BTJ just because it is his normal quarterback throwing him the ball. It is not a backup quarterback. I talked about it too. Indy's not great against the wide receivers for fantasy. But I'll go Brian Thomas Jr. just because of the fact that I think, again, no offense, I'm not trying to pick on your Seahawks, but when you got fourth string cornerbacks out there, it's kind of hard to stop number one wide receivers. So
we're bringing back Griffin from 5, 6, 7 years ago. That's probably going to be our number one this week.
Which Griffin?
The one
either way, I think he might be your number one. So
yeah.
But yes, I'll go BTJ as well. All right, let's get back into this and talk about this for just a second because it has such a barring impact on fantasy. We mentioned Breece Hall. Who are some other names that you think you could see dealt, as we move closer to the trade deadline?
I went pretty running back heavy because we were talking about teams that need that solidified running back to make these playoff rooms. So I think you could see Kamara on the move, and I think you could see Seattle possibly fielding some phone calls of moving either Charbonnet or Kenneth Walker I think those are three names that could really be out there to be shipped if the price is right. The Saints, I think they got their first win last week, but they could be in sell now mode and see what they have in their young backs.
Yeah, for me, I think I also had Kamara on there as well, but he's publicly come out begging not to be traded. So I think Mickey Loomis, there in New Orleans would be public enemy number one if you trade Kamara. But at what point do you say, hey, listen, we got to recoup? I know he's been our guy for years, but we got to recoup some value and look towards the future. Kendre Miller's been really good in Kamara's, breathing space, I guess what you'd call that there. So that one's okay to me. I also have Kirk Cousins written down just because, even Shefty came out and said he expects him to potentially be moved before the deadline. There are a lot of quarterback needy teams out there as well. Could be one that would be very intriguing for some teams that have some quarterback needs. The other one I've got, Brand, is Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. That's kind of the one wide receiving core I looked at. Those guys are both unhappy. One of them publicly going public with their lack of happiness, if you will. And for me, when you've got a wide receiver that's publicly unhappy and a team that's not performing, you're coming off of a Super Bowl win, and you just got beat by the New York Giants on a Thursday night, and you didn't just get beat, you got beat bad. So at what point do you sit here and go, hey, maybe we look to move one of these guys, offload one of them, so the other one's a little more happy, we can get back to being our true selves, pounding that football. So it wouldn't shock me at all to see one of A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith moved at this point.
Absolutely. The one receiver I had written down was Chris Olave. I think you could see the Saints trying to sell the house and go completely rebuild. I mean, the quarterback game or the quarterback room isn't great. The wide receiver room isn't great. So they could probably sell off all these assets and try to just completely go full-blown rebuild. So I could see Olave being on the move with some of these other teams out there.
Also, did you have Josh Reynolds on your bingo card as being the number one wide receiver or pass catcher in general for the Jets today?
No, I feel like they just got more. I feel like they just got more yards in that one drive than they did the entire first half.
Yeah. There's some truth to that. But yeah, we talk about the trade deadline for the National Football League, Brant, and you and I on our Wednesday episode this week we did a kind of where you have to know whether you're a pretender or a contender in fantasy. And this is the point of the season where you got to start trying to make some moves. Following up on that, who are some players that maybe they haven't performed the best to this point of the season or, whatever. And these are guys you're going to go target right now for try to get them for cheap before they break out.
One of them is actually the wide receiver number 38. So, I mean, he's been decent, and that's Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin, you and me have talked about it. I think he's coming on as the number one because Sutton could end up moving on the deadline as well because they do have such a young receiving core. So I actually have Pat Bryant written down there as well as trying to trade for either one of those guys and trying to get them as cheap as you can because the Broncos offense, although it doesn't look the greatest today against the Jets defense, I mean, their pass catchers are there, and I think – either one of these guys could step into that number two role. We've seen Troy Franklin have great, he's got the chemistry from college. So I think Franklin and Brian are two guys that I would look to go get cheap in fantasy right now.
Okay. I've got a Broncos pass catcher down as well. And it's one I was way hyped about in the offseason. And it's one that I think the last 2 weeks is really starting to last week and then this week really started to come in, do his own and then offense. And that's Evan Ingram, Brant. I think, when we talked about it preseason, we thought that was a tight end that could be a top 5 guy, even, worst case top 10. And to start the season, it was anemic. But the Broncos and Bo Nix have started to look Evan Ingram's way a little bit more. He's the leading receiver for the Broncos, or leading pass catcher for the Broncos at halftime with 4 receptions for 30 yards on 4 targets. He's starting to catch the eye of Bo Nix a little bit, and for me, I'm really into Evan Ingram. And then the other one that I had written down is another guy we've talked about earlier today, which is why I was a little hesitant when this question came up, but it's Josh Downs of the Indianapolis Colts. This guy was kind of a showstopper last year for the Colts. He kind of almost surpassed Michael Pittman as the guy in that wide receiver core. and then has had a very slow start to the season this year. But coming off of his best game, I think it's going to be one of those where it slowly starts to tick up for Josh Downs to where, right now it's probably one of the lower prices you could go acquire him for. So for me, it's Evan Ingram, Josh Downs right now are those kind of guys that I want to, go hard after at this point.
Yeah, another guy that I had written down was Jaden Blue of the Dallas Cowboys. Miles Sanders is out for the season, so Blue's going to move into that backup role. And I mean, we've seen injury history for Williams there. I know he's been phenomenal this year for the Cowboys. But yeah, Jaden Blue is another guy that I would go try to trade as early as possible for him, as he's just coming off the IR as well, I think. So he's going to take a few weeks to ramp up, and I think this is a guy that could definitely be a guy that could take over some of the workload there and help out with Dallas in their run game.
Says Garrett Wilson, breaking news, Garrett Wilson's on the sideline without his helmet after exiting the medical tent. That's never a good sign when a player does not have their helmet with them. So, we are about 8 minutes away from getting some news on some inactives, for the 1 o'clock slate. If you will. So, Brant, I want to do something a little different this week. We are going to end the show a little early this week because we do have some commitments that we have to attend to. So we're gonna stop at about 15 minutes. 15 minutes short of where we normally do here. So I want to get into our touchdown scorers and our underdog plays of the week. That way we have time to answer any last minute questions as well as talk about some inactives when they start coming through. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, let's do the underdog first. All right, Brant, walk me through your underdog card for this week. What are you looking at?
All right, I got all hires. Every time I seem to go lowers, I end up hurting myself. So I'm going to go with Dak Prescott to go higher than 244.5 passing yards. Excuse me. I think that I think the game's going to end up being close. So I think they're going to end up throwing. So I'm going to go with Dak to go higher than 244.5 passing yards. Originally, I did this one before the Kyler Murray news came out. So I am a little worried about this. But I took Daniel Jones to go higher than 233 passing yards this week. So that it worries me a little bit because they could end up blowing them out. But I think, like you said, Brissett could end up keeping this game pretty close as well. And then I got Njoku to go higher than 37.5 receiving yards. I think that he'll be the focal point of that Cleveland pass game there against Pittsburgh. So then I got Mahomes to go higher than 4.5 rush attempts. He's been the leading rusher for that team. He takes off. He's making sure he's moving the ball. He's doing everything he can to keep his team involved. So I think he goes over 4.5 rush attempts. And then I got Geno not to throw an interception. No, I'm just kidding. He will throw another interception this week. But I do have him to go higher than 221.5 passing yards. I think that they're going to have to air the ball out this week. So against Tennessee. So I believe that he'll go over that. So I got 3 quarterbacks going higher than their passing yards this week.
Yes, you did. Yes, you absolutely did. I have one. I'll start with mine just to kind of keep up with the theme of the show there. I've got Goff higher than 240.5 passing yards in a game that Vegas has the highest line on. Should be must-watch football on Sunday night. It's probably one of the better Sunday night football games, at least on the script that we've had, or on the slate that we've had this year. There's been some ones that have turned out really good. This one on paper is really good. I guess Ravens and Bills was really good on paper too. What was that, week 2? And it ended up being a great contest as well. So I've got Goff higher than 240 passing yards. All right. I actually took this one after the news of Kyler Murray getting hurt. I've got Marvin Harrison Jr. higher than 51.5 receiving yards I think this is a week that we really see a big week from Marvin Harrison. I really do. I'm really excited about him this week. I've got Rico Dowdle higher than 96.5 total yards. That's a little under half of what he had last week as the starting running back with no Chuba Hubbard last week. And they're going against a defense this week that's equally as bad. Last week was the Dolphins, I believe. This week is the Cowboys, where there's relatively no defense. I like Rico Dowdle to have a huge game again this week. I've got Stefan Diggs to have higher than 7.5 targets. Again, when you talk about, relative or things that have happened relatively recent, Diggs has had 2 games where he's had over 10 targets in a row. Definitely Drake May's guy going into this week. And again, against the Saints defense that's anemic, I like Diggs. And then my last one, I've got Genty higher than 95.5 total yards. Had his coming out party last week. Finally started getting involved in the pass catching game last week. Again, no Brock Bowers. I don't know if he's been officially ruled out yet, but I know he's very questionable. Has he been ruled out? Okay, so He's out. That makes me very happy for the Genty targets share this week. Last week, we really saw Genty get involved in the pass catching game. I think that continues this week. So I like Genty over 95.5 total yards.
Okay, absolutely. Like those plays.
Roll into your touchdowns, Brant. What do you got there?
I got 3 guys who have not found the end zone this year, but I think they all find their first touchdowns this week, and they're 3 rookies. Travis Hunter to find the end zone against the Seahawks, McMillan to find the end zone against the Cowboys, and I got Matthew Golden to find the end zone this week as well. I'm going 3 rookies, 0 touchdowns total between the 3 of them this year, and I think they all 3 break that streak and all 3 find the end zone this week.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll start with my first one that I have that's very similar to yours. I have Ted McMillan to find the end zone against the Cowboys this week. I do have another wide receiver. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba finds the end zone. And then I have a pair of running backs that find it every week. I got Jonathan Taylor to find the end zone this week and Quinshawn Judkins to also find the end zone. I think you talk about a hot hand with a guy like Judkins, who honestly has been incredible recently. So I didn't go nearly as risky as you did. I do like yours, though. I might have to tail that one just because I imagine that one's very plus money right now. So I do like that one a decent amount.
Yeah, I have not put it in yet. I'm going to because I do like it. We normally see, a week where everybody that doesn't have a touchdown on the year seems to always find it, and it happens to always be the same week. And I think I'm feeling it this week with some of the easier matchups that these guys have.
Okay. All right, we're about 2 minutes away from news to start pouring in here about some of these inactives. So let's see if we can find anything that's already out.
Yeah, Bowers got ruled out early, which, made me cry because I was sitting there waiting, and then I left Dallas Goedert sitting on my bench. While we're looking through this, I do want to let you know I did go back through in our co-own league, and I switched out Kyler Murray. Didn't need to do what I accidentally did in our Vampire League, where I thought I took Slayton out, had a game that night, and wound up only moving him for another flex guy.
Yeah, that's never great.
Yeah, let's see who else is questionable here. Oh, we got another question. Couple questions rolling in while we're looking here. We got Youssef asked, would you flex Harrison or Pollard? I'm gonna go with I think I go with Marvin Harrison this week.
Yeah, Tajay Spears coming back last week. Going to be more active this week, I would assume. And I do think, like I said, I like Marvin Harrison this week with Jacoby Brissett. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable with Marvin Harrison. Now I'm also playing Marvin Harrison this week in a league where CeeDee Lamb's out, Quentin Johnston's out, but I also have options between Olave and Diggs, and I'm honestly going with Marvin Harrison over those two. So I'm fairly confident in him this week.
Okay.
Jennifer says Carter or Judy.
I think with the news, you got to go Judy on this one here with the news of Bam taking over the workload.
Yep. It's Judy for me, just because honestly, I thought what we saw last week was pretty darn good from Michael Carter, but apparently not enough that Jonathan Gannon wants to roll with him again. So yeah, I'll go with Judy as well, Brant.
Bill says, tough one, Kamara or Pacheco. As long as Kamara plays, I think I lean on Kamara. I think he's going to be get plenty of work. I know he's banged up, but I do lean Kamara. Garrett Wilson is back in the game, by the way. He just had what a surprise, incomplete pass from Justin Fields.
No.
Yeah.
I do go Kamara on this one at Bill, so just to get my sense in there. We do have some inactives starting to roll through. I'm not really seeing anything huge at this point. Cavante Turpin is out for the Cowboys, as well as CeeDee Lamb, so that does make Tolbert and Ryan Flournoy a little more intriguing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Quentin Johnston's ruled out.
Quentin Johnson was officially ruled out
per the Los Angeles Chargers official Twitter page.
I can't.
Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and Bucky Irving all officially out for the Buccaneers. No Cedric Wilson for the Dolphins. Makes me a little higher on Waddle and Waller, both respectively.
Yeah, tweet 6. Mark comes at us while we're looking at these with Jennings or Ridley in PPR. I'm going Ridley on this one. The 10 targets make me a little more intrigued with him, so I'm going to go with Ridley.
Yep, it's Ridley for me as well. Pretty confidently in that after Cam Ward kind of got his groove a little bit last week, and Ridley had 10 targets. I'm good with Ridley as well on that one, Brant.
Adai Mitchell's out for the Colts.
Jatavion Sanders inactive at tight end for the
Panthers. Wow.
Panthers again this week. Tutu out, Atwell out for the Rams.
Oh boy.
Yeah, a lot of non needle movers, but they're kind of move the needle on some other guys.
Yeah. Trying to see if I had Sanders anywhere. Trying to see if anybody else is being rolled out as well.
All right, Brant, what's on the menu for you this week while we're talking about and looking these things up?
So we got a few things to knock out this morning, and so we're gonna do. We're getting the wife was when we first got on. The wife was getting the chili ready to go, throwing in the crock pot. So we're gonna have some chili and cornbread going on. Probably do some cookies as well this week, and then I got for lunch whenever we finally get back to settling down. I got some Chipotle that I picked up yesterday, and it just didn't sound all that great, but that's definitely what I'm going to go with today. I'm going to make me a big old plate of Chipotle, and I may turn it into some nachos there and just put everything on top of some chips and just have a big old Chipotle nacho bar for me. And then, like I said, it's chili and cornbread, man. I've been waiting for some chili for a while, so that's what we're going with today. Kind of an easy menu, but one of my favorites.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with just a good old Midwestern, staple there in chili and cornbread. So I'm glad neither one of us are at work this week, because I sure wouldn't want to be around you tomorrow after you eating chili. But
And just so you know, we're doubling the batch, because then we're doing some homemade mac and cheese tomorrow and going to turn that into the chili mac. So yeah, it definitely could end up being a real rough 2 days here.
I have no idea what's on the menu at my house. My wife and I have had a busy weekend. We had a kid come down with strep throat yesterday.
Oof.
The wife had to coach 4 straight cheer games, so was gone for the house for about 10 hours. So I assume I'm running to the store at some point before kickoff to get some lunch and dinner items, but we shall see. It's honestly one of those weeks. It could be a really, 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 really good week, or a really, 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 really bad week. So, verdict's still out at this point. So we'll see.
So the Jets just took the lead while their quarterback is 7 of 12 today, and the Jets just took the lead on a safety. Oh my God, this game is something special here.
This is not what you want to be putting forward overseas.
No.
Roger Goodell may want to rethink this moving forward.
Yeah. So,
Broncos defense does have 4 sacks, though. That's, I guess the defenses might be the big plays of the week.
Oh yeah,
you got a fumble recovery by the Jets. So yeah, it's not great. We got another question here. Bryce says Drake May or Jaden Daniels. He's thinking Drake at home against the Saints, also at his 4-point for a pass touchdown.
I don't think you go wrong with either one, but yeah, I'm gonna lean Drake May against the Saints here. I think both are great plays this week, but yeah, like you said, without his full weapons there in Washington, I do think I go with Drake May.
Healthy Debo makes me intrigued. Man, give me Drake May against the Saints. Although I do think Jaden Daniels has a get back week this week. But yeah, I'll go Drake May.
Okay.
Guys, I do want to throw it out there again. We try to do it every week, but I want to throw it out there again. If you didn't get your questions in with Brant and I, or maybe something happens and you've got another roster question a little bit closer to kickoff, don't hesitate to jump over to the Fantasyholics Facebook page. They'll have a start-sit post there where you can drop your question, and somebody will answer it using their hashtag. We like to be accountable on the Fantasyholics. We take our L's when we have to. So don't hesitate if you don't get your question in with us there. Again, it's in my opinion, it's the best page out there for interactive updates and things of that nature. So go get your questions answered there if you don't get in with us.
Absolutely. It is definitely one of the best pages out there too, if not the best page to get all your news as quickly as possible. They do a great job to where it's not just so-and-so's inactive. They talk about the effects on fantasy or when they go to the IR and everything else. The page is phenomenal. They're getting better at putting everything on Twitter or on X, I guess is what it is now. But yeah, this is definitely one of the best pages out there. And like you said, we are held accountable. So don't be afraid to come back and tell us that we were wrong. We'll be more than happy to suck it up and tell you that we were. We're wrong, and it happens, but we want to try to be as best at it and as interactive as we can be with you guys.
We're never wrong, Brant. It's just the players don't do what they're supposed to do.
Right. That's definitely. Alvin Kamara is officially active. So
I am a little jealous, Brant, of one of our fellow teammates. I don't know if he's watching right now with Jay from Canada. It is Canadian Thanksgiving on Monday, which means they get to eat really good food and watch football all day today. We don't get to do that again until next month. But yeah, I am a little jealous of that the Canadians having their Thanksgiving today.
Maybe I'll have to celebrate that.
I've celebrated lesser and had my arm twisted less.
Right.
So Jay, if you want to make us the Fatboyz honorary Canadians for the day, I'll say A and eat stuffed duck or whatever it is you guys do. I'm in. So
absolutely. Trey asked Dak or May. I think I go with Dak on this one. I think the Carolina keeps it close, and I think that they're going to air the ball out. So I'm going to go with Dak on this one.
Yeah, and for me, Brant, Dak feels like a guy that started the season out really slow, and we were kind of like maybe fading him a little bit. But then I feel like he's bounced back big the last 2 weeks. Yeah, he's quarterback 5 on the season, starting out with a 9-point game against Philly and a 15-point game in week 3 against the Bears. He's coming off of quarterback 1 and quarterback 3 finishes. I'm riding that hot hand with Dak. I think Dak's right where we want him to be for the season. I like Dak a lot.
Absolutely. Moving forward, I think he's a guy that you can set in your lineup and be pretty happy with it.
All right, I'm going to put it on you again this week. It's been something we've done the last 3 weeks live. Who's your number 1 running back this week, Brant?
Oof. Who plays Miami? Well, fortunately, that's a committee.
Yeah.
I want to say Rico. I want to say Rico repeats, but I don't know if he does. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I went risky with my touchdowns, and I'm going to go Bill to be the number 1 running back there.
Krosky Mary. Mary Krosky is what you were trying to go with, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I agree. I think Rico's the one that I'm leaning towards most, but since you were on the fence about it and didn't take it, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to say Ginty. I think Ginty has another 2 touchdown performance. I think Ginty gets involved in the pass catching game this week, and a game that I feel like is honestly going to be a fun game to watch. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to do that to myself, but it probably would be a fun game to watch if I was a fan of either of those 2 teams on the Titans and Raiders and that 4 o'clock slate. I think that's going to be a good contest. All right, who's your wide receiver 1?
JSN. I think he sees 10 plus catches this week. I think he finds the end zone. I'm going to go with JSN.
All right, let me look around to somebody else since I was going to say JSN. Let me go with let me double down, Brant. Let me double down on it. I've said his name so much this week. Let me go Marvin Harrison Jr. But let me have Marvin Harrison Jr. be the wide receiver 1 this week. I don't know if he's ever been a wide receiver 1, but let me say he is.
Okay.
All right, and last but not least, what do you got for the tight end position?
So as open as we left the field last week, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say Hunter Long for the Jacksonville Jaguars is going to be the tight end 1 this week.
Started in 3 fantasy leagues, period, across the world. Hunter Long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm starting him in one of ours.
Oh, you're one of the 3. I like it.
I am. I am. I had Bowers, and I waited. I was like, oh, he'll play. He'll be fine. And then Goddard snapped off. So I was like, well, as bad as we were against the tight end and leaving the middle of the field so open last week, I'm going to go with Hunter Long and see if hopefully it pays off, but doesn't kill my team.
I didn't want to just tell you left 30 points on your bench with Goddard. So just in case you didn't already know that.
I also had Wandell on my bench. It's fine.
Yeah, well, that's only 20 points, but yes. I'm gonna go with Jake Ferguson. I've got Jake Ferguson to be the guy. You didn't like George Pickens this week. I don't like Ryan Flournoy ever. So let's go with Jake Ferguson being the guy for the Cowboys this week, Brant.
Okay.
All right, guys, I think that does wrap it up for us this week. I'm assuming everybody's so intrigued by this Broncos and Jets game overseas that nobody's hanging out with us this week. We do have one of the Fatboyz has some commitments he's got to attend to, and like I said, I probably have to run to the store. So I think we're going to go ahead and sign off for this week. Go get our own lineup set before we have to go do all of our running. But we will be back at same time, same place next Sunday. and able to stay for the full slate next week. So,
yep, absolutely. And as always, stay hungry,
stay fat, my